meetings in the Dublin's North Inner City with community leaders, business owners, educators, service providers and members of An Garda Síochána. The spotlight, as everybody in this House knows, is on the North Inner City because of gun deaths and the focus on crime. And that's a great cause of frustration for the people who live there, who are weary of periodic focuses on their community, analysis and talk, and they were anxious that they be fully involved now in finding a permanent solution that everybody is bought into. I raised 2 weeks ago with the Taoiseach the issue of a joint task force. The Taoiseach indicated in response to my query that that would happen. So I have a couple of questions for the Minister now. Firstly, where stands the task force? Who is going to lead the task force? Because that was one of the issues that was raised again and again with me. It is critical that the local community be fully involved in the design of a solution for all the issues of inequality that prevail in the North Inner City. I think it could be a model for regeneration, a model of hope. But it can only work on the basis that the political system, all of us, across parties, commit ourselves, in government or out of government, whatever the vagaries of politics over the next decade will be, that we will sign a solemn pledge. Once this task force has outlined a blueprint for action, that we will sign up individually as members of this House to implement that, as I say, in government or out of government, whatever way the political winds blow. So I would ask, will the Minister, on behalf of the government and indeed on behalf of the Fine Gael party, commit himself to signing such a pledge for this community, which could, I think, become a model for other areas in regeneration, rebuilding and supplanting despair with hope? And would he also answer the questions in relation to the timescale and membership of the task force that the Taoiseach agreed to create?
Thank you very much. Deputy Bruton.
Well, I don't have the precise answers to the time frame, but I can assure you that the Taoiseach is taking this very seriously, and I am myself looking within the education portfolio at the areas where we could support initiatives within the North Inner City specifically, but also, as the Deputy says, in the context of a wider model to look at areas of concentrated disadvantage to see how we can break that cycle. I think the concept of working across departments is something that has come into more vogue in the last couple of years, and we do have the action plan for jobs, the action plan for housing, and I think the Deputy is right that we need to form an approach to dealing with concentrated urban deprivation, in particular urban or towns, in a way that is more consistent and breaks away from the silos, because of course in terms of an individual family they deal with all the problems. They don't silo their problems as between the health and the education and the community and the risks of slipping into lives of crime and all the other elements. I know that the Taoiseach is continuing to work with this, and I'm sure he will communicate with the Deputy. In terms of whether such an approach can become something that we would roll out and create a pledge around, I think that is a challenge for this Dáil. One of the things that we need to do is take a long-term vision, and we know we're approaching a long-term vision in respect of health and looking to the Oireachtas to have a degree of consensus about that. We want to do the same in terms of long-term funding for the higher education system, where there's equally going to be a challenge coming up the track. And climate change is a third one. And you can go through, there are a large number of very large challenges to this Oireachtas, and I agree with the Deputy that this certainly ranks among them. We do need to find a more consistent way of ensuring that the resources of the state are deployed in a way that delivers better outcomes in these communities rather than each sitting within its own silo. We had today a report in respect of the health prospects of people suffering from cancer, answer in different parts of our community. And again, it raises questions for us as an Oireachtas as to how we can improve delivery in these areas. So while I think it would be premature for me to say I'll sign on the dotted line for a policy approach that we have yet to see fully developed, I think in terms of the spirit of what the Deputy is saying, it's something that I'm fully behind, and in terms of my responsibilities in education, I would like to see that sort of cross-community, because a school can't be just an oasis on its own. Its strength depends on the resources it can bring in from the rest of the community to deliver improvement. So I look forward to the work of this task force, and I will ask the Taoiseach to communicate to you on the framework and how the Oireachtas obviously will be fully involved.
Thank you very much, Minister. Deputy Howlin.
I welcome the Minister's initial positive view of an all-party pledge in relation to this, because the Minister has said this is a challenge for this Dáil. It's more than a challenge. I think it's an imperative that we all not talk about an area that has been in the public view periodically over decades, and we actually commit ourselves to a resolution. And we can do that. All of us have failed, and I put my hand up as failing this community. We've failed the community because we haven't, in a consistent, ongoing way, delivered the resources in a coordinated, marshalled way that will break the cycle of deprivation that has led not only to elements of crime, but ongoing lack of participation in proper health stats and so on. So I would ask the Minister to make sure that we have a clear time frame for this task force, that the membership are set out to us, and I'd ask the Taoiseach to come back through the Taoiseach to me in relation to that, and to ensure that there is real community buy-in, and finally that we would, at the end of the day, as an Oireachtas, commit ourselves for this area. Let this be the model area where we will commit over whatever period of time is required to ensure that we are not in a decade or in 2 decades' time revisiting the same issues for this community.
Thank you very much, Deputy Howlin. Minister.
I agree with the Deputy's approach. Indeed, our own parliamentary party last week discussed specifically this very same challenge that we face, and it is replicated, I'm sure, in parts of your own constituency, as obviously in parts of mine, and most deputies are experiencing the same. And there is a resolve, I think, to see our response in the North Inner City, which obviously has particularly acute experience, and Deputy Finian McGrath, as a former school principal in the area, knows this better than I do. But I think we do need to develop a model that can, as we respond to the challenges in this particular area, as the Deputy says, that it's something that we can replicate and build upon for other communities. I've often been very impressed by the partnership companies, the way in which they can innovate in a way that government departments can't innovate. And I think we do need to find ways of allowing, 1,000 flowers bloom in different communities. And one of the things that I hope to do in education itself is to look at the concept of supporting innovation, particularly in different community challenges, and I hope this is one.
Thank you very much.